Abner is a gopher, a once ordinary rodent, but life unfolded, and he became a world-famous gopher of high praise. His new life ignited an itch for adventure, which almost left him bedridden with wanderlust. He needed to see the world and experience life around him. These are the tales of Abner the Gopher. Abner gets drunk. Abner had been on his travels for many days and many nights, and feeling more comfortable with his sea legs, he took a canoe out to the open waters. A relaxing row, as well as a great cardiovascular workout for any aged gopher, Abner was having the time of his life. Abner rode to and fro, and for all he did know, didn't care where to go. He was out of the water in almost the entire day, and the land was no longer in sight. Well, better turn back now. Abner smiled at the halfway point of his day. Abner checked the sun for the direction of the land and adjusted his headings accordingly. Amidst Abner's rowing, a watery bulge appeared behind him. As the bulge grew larger and larger, it took the form of a mouth. All of the water on the surface drew towards the enormous mouth, including the water under the canoe, which held Abner. Abner paddled his hardest, but it was no match for the flow. Abner was going to be swallowed, whether he liked it or not. As Abner got sucked into the back of the throat and the mouth closed, all went dark. For the next few minutes, all Abner could hear was bubbling, splashing, and gurgling. Abner was taking a wild ride through the digestive system of a monster. Abner, still in the canoe, found calm waters and waited as he slowly bobbed up and down. "I guess I'm in the stomach," Abner's voice echoed through the darkness. "Who got swallowed this time?" a voice asked as a light flicked on. "I'm Abner," Abner announced. "I was canoeing." "Aren't they all? He usually swallows them in a row," the stomach dweller replied. "I take it you wish to get out of here like all the others too, right?" "Well," Abner started, "get swallowed was not on my to-do list, nor is a stomach my ideal vacation getaway. I do not mean to insult, but do you live here?" "As a matter of fact, I do," the stomach inhabitant voiced in a somewhat agitated tone. "I was swallowed over 10 years ago, and I love the solitude, besides the occasional unwanted guest every now and again." "Well, since you obviously don't want me here, could you direct me to an exit, please?" Abner requested. "An exit?" the voice laughed. "What is this, a restaurant? We're in a whale. There are no exits." "So a whale," Abner stated. "That is just splendid. Could I just climb out the blowhole?" "Tell me you're not being serious." The voice stepped into the light, revealing he was a meerkat. "Don't you know anything about anatomy? We are in a stomach, in the digestive system. The blowhole is part of the respiratory system." "I noticed you are a meerkat," Abner said. "You're a long way from home. How'd you get in here?" "This story is not about me," the meerkat snapped. "A gopher in a canoe being here makes just as much sense. Now, just so you know, there are two ways out of the digestive system. Out the in, or out the out, if you catch my drift." "I do," Abner commented, as he thought. "Could I light a fire, causing him to open his mouth and I swim out?" "Wow," the meerkat sneered. "Where do I begin with what is wrong with that plan? First off, if you light a fire inside of a living being, they do not throw up, they die. You cook their insides, and then a whale would sink to the bottom, and we would slowly rot. But, just for giggles, let's say he did open his mouth and you swam right out. How long could you hold your breath for? Because whales dive deep, you know?" "Wait a minute," Abner snapped his claws. "If we are in a stomach, how are we getting oxygen to breathe? Explain that, Mr. Anatomy." "Simple," the meerkat answered. "Years back, the whale was harpooned in the side, pierced his lung, puncturing his stomach. Now, there is an unnatural flow of oxygen every time the whale goes up for air." "So that means they are connected," Abner shouted. "So I could climb into his lungs and up the blowhole and wait for the whale to surface and get blown to freedom." "Damn," the meerkat cursed. "I was hoping to convince you to take the intestine path like all the others. Then you would painfully be digested." "Sorry to disappoint," Abner apologized. Abner made his way out of the stomach and to the lungs, eventually arriving at the blowhole, which was sealed up tightly. Abner waited patiently for the whale to surface, and Abner was jettisoned into the air. Abner felt the free sensation of flight before splashing back down into the water. Abner then spent the remainder of the day swimming back to shore, kicking himself for not taking the canoe.